So here we are in Esna, and it's Shabbos, and we're walking to the temple. So here we walked to the temple on Shabbos. So this is from the Greco-Roman period.
Very little history about the village. This village is an ancient Egyptian village. When the Greeks came here in the 5th century BC, they called this village Megapolis because it was a really big city, and the Greek called it the Great Town or the Great City. And then when Christianity started in Egypt in 60 AD, from 284 up to the arrival of the Arabs. When the Arabs arrived here in the 7th century, they start to rebuild the city, and people start to come back to the city here again one more time. So the temple we have here, that goes back to 200 BC. So this temple, when it was here, the level of the street of the city was this level. So in a different word, all the sand rebels, the sand built up on the city. So if you came here in Egypt in 1800, you will find the level of the sand is up to the level of the half height of it. And for this temple, the divinity is name is Konam. So no one is adoring Mr. Konam, so people actually use this place as a warehouse. And people here used to cultivate cotton, and this used to be the warehouse of the cotton. And later on, in the 19th century, so we don't have intact temple. This temple is being badly damaged. So if you remember going to Luxor temple, you have a big gate and you go to open yard and whatever. This is missing, that should be in this direction. And in this direction, we should have like Dandara temple. You should have like Salaf columns, another Salaf columns, and then the sanctuary. We have nothing in this. So the only portion of the temple is saved is this little portion. The people lived here and we had gunpowder here, so it smoked the whole thing up. So now we are cleaning that smoke. So what we are doing here now is getting acetone 3%, fixing it against the wall absorb it, and then we get Japanese paper on the opposite side. So Japanese paper get the water out. So this movement for the water in and out is dissolving the pollution. So we can clean it up. So this is the work that you see the restorers are working here. The result of this is fantastic. Any color at all, right?
Right.
Okay, this exactly when they finish cleaning it up, it will become like this. So what they are doing, they are not cleaning. They are not painting. They are cleaning. They put the acetone and they let the wall absorb, and then they got Japanese paper. It's paper made out of rice. You put it against the wall so the rice re-attract the water out. Keep doing this movement until you get the brightest colors on. So that was okay. This temple is a fascinating temple for the art of the color. One, this is lotus flower. That's another lotus flower. That's a third lotus flower. So the lotus is a floating flower, come with the Nile, and the Nile comes from the south to the north. The Nile dries completely for 4 months, not a single drop of water. Ancient Egyptians are super worried that maybe the flood doesn't come and I die. And all of a sudden they made it yellow here and red lotus. And those are the reeds of the lotus flowers. And you can see a big flower here and a smaller one here. Can you catch it?
Yeah.
So this is a design. We call this design vegetal design. Vegetal design. That means it comes like vegetable stuff. Okay? And then you could see the reeds of the lotus comes down, and as if I'm tying the lotus together in order to make a flower package or something. And the columns comes after it. After it you see a cobra, another one, and you see the name of the king is actually protected by the cobra. Now, as I always say, if I write a note in my house saying that I'm leaving this house because I found a cobra in the house, and I leave the door open, no one will go inside this house, right? So the cobra is for protection. The ancient Egyptians found that the cobra is a strange animal. In the sunny day, it can't see me. So I can pass in front of the cobra safely. See this one? What is this crown? This crown is innovation in the art. Why I'm saying it is innovation in the art? Because the base of this crown is exactly the same like the other one. It's lotus flower. But they are not doing it vegetal design. they are doing it like geometric design. Can you catch it? So you see that the lines is super sharp, and you can see the lotus flower, the red, the blue, the yellow, and then you can see the reeds of the lotus flowers comes like half circle, and it's a little bit deep, and even the reeds itself is a sharp angles here. So this is a new style of art that the ancient Egyptian came up with, and this new style of art they making the vegetal design in a geometric way. So that is a mix between geometric style and vegetal design. So that what you can actually see in all fish in the Nile dies. So the early Egyptian, they actually take the lotus flower from the Nile, they keep it in a jar. All the eggs of the perch of the Nile and to Libya is fixed at the bottom of the lotus leaves. So when you put it in a jar, you have a lot of fish in the jar. So ancient Egyptian, like my granddad, they used to believe that fish comes out of the lotus. So they check deep inside and you pull it up. The root of the lotus is very sticky. And the leaves, when it grows up, it keeps turning inside to make something like a rod. So actually it is very sticky surface. When you put it in the water and you pull it up, the water which is leaking down out on it. So it acts like a filter. Okay? So that's purify the water. So an ancient Egyptian flattering his wife, he would say that you are clear like a water running out of lotus leaves. You got it? Lotus leaves, turned around to make this rod. Can you catch it?
Here.
Those things.
I see, yeah.
Okay, you see it again here and here. So you see like 3 layers of them. So that is a big lotus flower which is turning on to make like a roll of lotus. And you drop it in a dirty, muddy water. You pull it up, the water run out of it. It's clear like crystal. So that's how the ancient Egyptian would drink out of the water of the flood. So now this motivation became the ancestor of any Corinthian columns you're gonna see in Greeks or Roman civilizations. You got it? So this, in here, you are watching the ancestor of what we call the Corinthian columns of this style. So this is like a time you found a little dwarf dancing. This is symbol of happiness and joy. You know, in ancient time, they had dwarf like a dancing to make people a little bit happy. So that is a very important crown in history of art, because in history of art, this is like the oldest ancestor for what we call Corinthian columns in Greek and Roman. I, as a scholar, I did know that we have lotus form crowns, we have papyrus-form crowns, we understand that. This crown design come from what? I have a little palm tree and the Nile flood, so the Nile actually covered the head of this palm tree. And when the water of the Nile goes down, the head of the palm trees goes down, but then there is a lot of lotus flower hanging on the top of the palm tree. Catch it? Do you understand? Then you see that the palm grows up and the farmers get rid of the palm reeds in order to make it grow higher and higher. So that is the mark for cutting this. So this is a unique design. You won't find it many of it in other places. You go a little bit down, you see a wonderful falcon standing and having the sun disk just in his head. You know, the ancient Egyptian, they make the oil out of olive and out of sesame. So they gather the sesame reeds and they tie them from the bottom and the top, and they let them in the sun until the sun dry them. So the seeds fall in between the reeds, and that's how they protect the seeds from the birds. You got it? So that's exactly what you see here. So those are the sesame reeds being tied from the bottom and the top. And you see the sun is being presented on the top of them to drop the reeds in between them. So that's how they make their oil. That is another motivation you can actually see here, and you can see it very, very beautifully. For
And here's the
Egyptian, Earth is the center, and the moon goes from east to west. And what happens after it goes to the west? Well, I have a lot of sand here. If I walk here, I found myself sink through the sand. So they imagine that the moon and the sun sink down. And if I dig the sand very deep, I found
The sailboat's going sideways. We're getting on the boat.
Thank you.
ornaments we found in this island. If you go to this museum, a lot of people don't appreciate what this museum has, but that's all, you know, the knives, the stone knives, and the stone head arrows.
across the sea.
From here, the land of His Majesty starts, and he mentioned. So we call it border sign.
It's a border sign.
Then we
Tells
have
you
a
the
couple
end
of
of
rocks and
Egypt.
another border sign. Then, and if you like it's in a very narrow and hard area, especially on the top and in the bottom, this bird having a red head is called the Kumhor. We call it the Nile geese.
This is Shiite from India. This is the little branch now that we go through, and it's similar to the story of Moses in the Bible.
Looking for the cat. See the
They swallowed. Sand dune is swallowing that house.
It's like the brown thing you have seen in the market. Camel.
This is our destination, this big village. So this is the boat that we just took from Aswan to this island. This is a Nubian house. Typical Nubian satellite dish. We're on top of the Nubian house. There's a dog on the roof of the house. How he got up the roof, we have no idea. So now we're on top of the Nubian village. This is the rooftop. And this is the courtyard we were in moments ago. And this is the Nubian village in Aswan. So this is the Nubian bedroom. And the whole family all lives together. So these are the crocodiles, they're not alligators. They come from Lake Nasser. This is the big, happy crocodile. He is very big. Looks like they're outdoor kitchen. It's for show. Beautiful artwork on the wall. So here we're entering the nursery school, or the preschool, because too many of the kids, they drop out of school by age 6 because they don't like it, and they beg for money from the tourists.
I suggest for you a song called includesThe.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay, so we will do this. حبايب
Omes, Dej, Orange, Color, Idu, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This is the Aswan Dam, the smaller one. So this is the Philae Temple that we're headed to right now. More Philae Temple.
And the ancient Greeks, they call this island Philae, means the island of love. And the temple is dedicated to a goddess called Isis. And just to explain for you, The location of the temple, can you see the iron bars on the water there?
Yeah.
This is where the original island used to be.
Oh,
So we actually in 1970s, after we succeeded of moving many other temples, especially
that's where
south of the high
the
dam,
original temple
we
used
started
to
to
be.
look to the north of the high dam, and we made like a coffer dam around the whole island, and we pumped the water out. And this temple was, it spent like
That's where the water level was.
the top level, so the temple was up. And after we pumped the water out, Egyptian goddess married to a god, his name is Osiris. And according to the legend, mythology, that Osiris and Isis were really good, and Osiris, he is a man who taught the ancient Egyptian how to cultivate and does the harvest and become. Then it goes down to see feathers, and then you can see the sun disk having two cobras, and this is the tail of the cobras, and the falcon wings. This is how the ancient Egyptians thought that the sun crossed the horizon, would change its form to become like a falcon, and then change its form to become like a. It is like papyrus flowers. So you have the papyrus grows up and it has a reeds like this, and then the papyrus have a juice inside. This juice is very sweet. So the ancient Egyptians used to get the sugar out of papyrus. So when you and this is every temple has those gateways, and you can see a man with a falcon head. So this is Mr. Horus, and followed by a lady having two horns of the cow and a sun disk in between. This is Mrs. Isis. For her the temple is dedicated. And then the hole between Horus and Isis, this vertical hole, that's to fix the flagstaff. So I'm ancient Egyptian, and there is a breaking news. There will be somebody holding a rock and pull this flagstaff, and according to the color of the flag, I know is it a good news or bad news, royal news or weather news. Like for example, the flood is coming very weak this year. That's a bad news. What should we do? So we should get to the temple to figure out what we do. The flood is coming super high this year, so that's a very important news. We should get prepared. There is
This is inside the Temple of Philae. The Christians took over and it became a Christian church. It looks like they cut out all the humans.
sometimes the Bedouins, they believe that the ancient Egyptians were magicians. And to get rid of the magic of ancient Egypt, to weaken the country, so you have to damage their divinity. So that's maybe happened. You have lotus and papyrus, then you have geometric lotus and papyrus, and then you have a different fashion of lotus, and then you have bombs, and so on. Very interestingly, when you look up, you can see a beautiful big line of the cobra lines on the right. And the names of the kings and queens who ruled Egypt in this period of time. The bishop came from this area. So that is it. Now we go a little bit deep.
What was the other temple we went to where they focused on women and giving birth, etc.? One woman and the other, where that was the main purpose. Women came.
That's Hathor.
Okay.
She's like Isis. You can mix them up together. They are very close to each other. Okay, well we are here because we have a magic art. And number two, you will never ever see gold and silver. No gold and silver. So he is bringing essence here, and he asks her for certain quality, and this is the word of mother. Okay? And she is answering him. Remember in the lecture of hieroglyphic, I told you can write it right, left, right. So when I see the direction of the hand goes in the same direction here, so that's what she says. See what I mean? When you see the direction, this is past tense. Yeah, the N letter after the verb, and this is to, and this is you. So I gave to you. This is power. To generate motherhood over the whole country. So this is all and this is country. So I gave you the power to generate motherhood over the whole country. He is asking to have motherhood in his place. So she's
They called it a holy rock because the water used to come out of the rock and it had they thought it was holy, that the rock was producing the water, but it had to do with the Nile going up and getting stuck by the granite underground and then coming up through the rocks. So they compared that to when Moses struck the rock to get water in the middle of the Sinai desert.
Picture?
So all this was brought up from the Nile River, and they reconstructed the whole thing up at this level to save it. So this is the Philae Temples.